How's it? My main mission with this channel is to reveal real life in Portugal. I'm not the Portuguese tourism board, and I'm not going to show you how awesomely beautiful it is to here to come on holiday, because coming on a holiday here is another story entirely. I mean, we have the most beautiful beaches and caves and castles and incredible history, great food, all that stuff, which will make your holiday fantastic. However, relocating to live here is another story, and we'll need to take into account quite a few factors. Now, my name is Nick. I'm a South African. I've been living here in Portugal for 22 years, since the year 2000. So I've been living and working here, so I understand what it's like here, and I really, really love it. However, you may not. It's a question of perception, I mean, it totally depends on what you're used to, on what you're looking for when we're talking about relocation. But so it's different for everybody. But let's look at a few points so you can just break it down and understand exactly, and start thinking about what phase of relocation you're in. So I've divided, I've created 4 phases. Okay, there's research phase, there's the scouting phase, there's the really preparing phase, I'm going to come now, and then there's the settled phase where you may not be 100% settled, but you're actually living here and you need some assistance. So as we're going through this, try and think about what phase you're in. Okay. So another question I'd like to address is Portugal the land of milk and honey? Because I speak to so many people. Most of you guys are from the US, and I just love chatting to you and bringing you on tours and taking you around and doing calls, paid calls. And it's really interesting to understand what your perception is. And a lot of people have seen so many videos, they think, oh my gosh, Portugal is this incredible place, it's amazing. But there are some issues to take into account. So let's get going. Firstly, safety and security. Now, Portugal is one of the safest countries in the world, most peaceful countries in the world. According to the Global Peace Index, we rate 6th on the Global Peace Index. So if you go a little bit further down, the United Kingdom rates 34. South Africa rates 118. And USA is way below at 129. So this is the Global Peace Index. So Portugal is a great place to live. It really is amazing with regards to that. And especially me personally, coming from South Africa, where a lot of violence in South Africa and a lot of crime. And here in Portugal, not so much, which is exciting. Political activity. Now, in Portugal, we have politics. We have far-right politics and all kinds of stuff. And yes, occasionally we do get pretty political, but it's not like it doesn't divide the nation. It really doesn't divide the nation. If you really want, you can get involved and go and stand on the steps of Parliament in Lisbon and protest the cost of living and other issues that Portuguese are worried about right now. But it will not pervade every level of society there. So let's look at financial benefits of coming to. Are you going to be better off if you come to Portugal? First of all, let's take the cost of living. Now, it's increasing as it is everywhere, the cost of living. However, on the upside, our diesel prices actually have just come down from €2.20 per litre to €1.80 per litre, which is fantastic. It's great. I mean, it was about €1.40 per litre about a year ago, but still. So things are generally on the rise, though, as inflation rate climbs up through 8.9% currently. Obviously, this may change when you view the video. And, interest rates mortgage rates are hovering around 2 to 3%. So you can find bargains in Portugal, like really cheap places. You might see something splashed about online, like, oh, go to Lisbon for $25. You can have a meal for 2. You can. It's not going to be that amazing. So, you can find super expensive places and cheap places. So I always find it really difficult to measure the cost of living. But I think if you're coming from the UK and you're coming from the USA, you'll find that it's generally a lot cheaper here. If you're coming from South Africa, you might be more or less on a par. So that's something to think about. Also, the financial benefits of moving here, tax benefits. Now, Portugal has one of the highest tax rates around. It really does, but it also has some incredible tax benefits, some of the best in the world. So get advised.
Get advised.
Weather. One word, awesome. But be careful further north. It's awesome in the Algarve, but be careful further north. But people like to compare. And if you're coming from Miami, for example, you might say, oh, the water's too cold, the ocean's too cold. Generally in Portugal, generally in the Algarve, the ocean temperature is about 16 degrees in winter and about 22 degrees in summer. So, it varies obviously, but that's a sort of general average. But weather, Best weather I've ever seen. Love it. And sometimes it gets a little bit windier, sometimes it gets a bit cooler in summer, sometimes it gets a bit hotter in summer. And a guy emailed me the other day saying, oh, it's too cool and it's too windy. And I'm like, I can't control the weather and it changes all the time. But it is generally a really great climate around here in the Algarve. Fantastic. Service levels. Now, in retail, in government, and restaurants, for example, this definitely requires an adjustment. Things move slowly here. Anticipate that. Community. Now, when you've just relocated all the way across the world, you've just wiped out your entire network. Your family's not here. Your friends are not here. You have to work hard to create a social network. And I think that's one of the most important things because it really will benefit your life and the benefit of the communities that you join. So pick something that you love, and like if it's tennis or surfing or whatever it is, and just go do it and make friends because they will help you in all walks of life. Levels of infrastructure. If you don't know what it's like here in Portugal, we've got fantastic roads, transport, communication. Because being a part of the EU, we've been privy to a lot of investment from the EU, and the infrastructure is really, really good here. The thing is that Portugal is a very old country, so there's lots and lots of little roads that may have been used for donkeys in the past, and they still should be used for donkeys. I think cars are a bit alien in them, and you've got like this really small little single narrow road that sometimes you find yourself on, and you have to stop and reverse and wait for another car to come through. So that can be a bit tricky, but obviously the main roads are all great. When you get into the old towns as well, roads get a little bit tricky, so just be careful of that. Otherwise, driving's a breeze here on the right hand side. But what it's like to live here in Portugal and eat the local food. I mean, the local food's great. It's very, very commercial. We've got tons of grocery stores, so you can buy whatever you want, and you can cook whatever you want. Restaurants, especially down here in the Algarve, we've got hundreds of restaurants. I would hesitate to say thousands, but we've got definitely hundreds of restaurants, and they're changing all the time. New ones pop up every year. All kinds of food that you'd like to eat. Really good ones and really basic ones as well, and really cheap. A lot of the basic ones are really cheap too. So Portuguese love to eat out a lot. Okay, and Portuguese food is something that I took a little bit of time getting used to, but it's not like it's all over the place. You actually have to look for proper Portuguese food, like really traditional Portuguese food. Another great point is access to Europe. I mean, it's a super good reason to relocate to Portugal, especially down here in Faro. We've got direct flights to all the major capitals, like Madrid, Berlin, or, Frankfurt, Milan, London, wherever you want to go, Birmingham. You can go as far as you want, as quickly as you want. Just jump on a plane in Faro. And sometimes it's a whole lot easier to actually leave from Faro Airport because Lisbon Airport's pretty busy. It really is. But if you need to get a flight from Lisbon Airport, it's also not such a big deal. It's a 2.5 hour drive, or you can catch a train, which is just stress-free. And so, it's pretty easy. Access is fantastic. So there's a lot to figure out. I mean, of course, now that the pandemic is over, you could just jump on a plane and move over and figure all this stuff out as you go. I mean, I did back in the year 2000. But the reality is relocation can be a complex problem to solve. However, if you divide it into basic, simple chunks, it's way easier to achieve. After all, how do you eat an elephant? If you don't know the answer to that one, just ask me in the comments. It's a really old joke. It's like a bit of a dad joke. Anyway, but as I mentioned before, I came up with these 4 phases of relocation. So let's go over that in more detail. Number 1, researching. So you're sitting at home, you're like looking at YouTube videos, and you've got a couple of friends who might have gone to Portugal, and you know other people are thinking about going to Portugal, and you're trying to figure it out, and you're coming up with more questions than answers. So jump on a paid call with me. I can help straighten everything out and just get you on your road through the relocation journey. All right. The second thing is scouting. So now you've done a lot of research, you know exactly what's going on, where, and you want to try and put all these places like, jigsaw puzzle, put it all together. So book a scouting tour to Portugal and then come on a day tour with me and I will link up all the pieces for you. We'll sit and we'll talk, we'll go for lunch, we'll do a whole deal, and you can hire me for the whole day. All right, so get in touch again through my website. The third thing is preparation. So if you're in the preparation phase, now you know you want to come. You really got to get there. You've got to get stuff done. You've got a timeline. You've got NIFs to sort out. You've got bank accounts to sort out. You've got to do a visa. You've got to do all kinds of stuff. You've got to find a house as well. So accommodation can be tricky. So I can help you with that as well. So get in touch and, just check the preparation phase and we'll get on a call and sort you out and refer you to all the professional people that can help you as fast as possible, and we'll hold your hand all the way through it. All right. So because I'm building my team now. So there's a lot of you out there asking me for favors and things like that. So I'm building my team and making it into proper thing. The fourth thing is, once you're settled, it's in what I call the settled phase. So you're here, and there are certain things that you may not be able to do as easily as you would back home. And you may need assistance for this, like changing your driver's license or whatever. There's a whole bunch of things that I could, create examples for, but then we'd be here all day. So we can help you with that as well. So reach out and say, hey, I'm having trouble with this. Can you help me? I may be able to help you, I may not. And we like figuring out services all around this at this point in time. So, is Portugal the land of milk and honey? I don't know about that, but you can make a great life here. It really is possible. The biggest point I'm trying to make is that Portugal has all the basic requirements. It's up to you to make it the land of milk and honey. See you next week. AlgarveAddicts.com. Actually, next week, we're going to be doing something super exciting. Either we're going to be cruising around São Brás and showing you the really interesting places and sort of redoing that old São Brás video that I have, or I'm going to go with my cousin and cruise out and check out some wine farms, some breweries, and just an average day in the life of a person living in the Algarve.